Show, gentlemen. I am so happy to be here with you today because this is my sixth day in quarantine from the COVID situation. I don't know which level of COVID I have or what other kind of stuff is, but I've been by myself in my bedroom, isolated by my entire family for a whole 6 days now. And I'm glad to have the opportunity to just get out of this in my at least virtually get out and speak with everybody. I did go on a walk today for the first time, so I was like, I got to get out of here. This is crazy, but it's interesting stuff, and I'm so excited that you all are here today. This is Coffee Tea You and Me. For those of you who don't know, I've been doing Coffee Tea You and Me now for 20 years. I first started doing it by just sitting down every Friday afternoon between 3 and 5, the hours of 3 and 5, at a local coffee shop here in Centerville, Virginia. And I had several coffee shops, but I finally landed into a local Panera Bread when they opened up. So I'll be looking forward to going back to our Panera Bread here in Centerville as soon as possible. I want to make sure everybody knows that this show is a business-friendly show. Whoever you are, wherever you're watching, wherever you're coming from, do me a favor. Put your information in the chat. Put your business information in the chat. If you got a workshop or something coming up, if you got something coming up that you want us to pay attention to, again, put it in the chat. I want to make sure I give you a shout out. If you have questions about anything we talk about from the topics that we have or the guests that we have, feel free again to put that information in the chat as well, because we want to be as responsive and as connected to you as is possible. And as I move everything around here, we'll be okay. That's a much better situation. Okay, so I see my girl Annette is in the house. Thank you very, very much, Annette. I am feeling well. I'm feeling wonderful. You know, I got a little bit of a little congestion, but I never had a fever. I never had any body aches. I never had any digestive issues or whatever that is, or taste bud issues or anything like that. This has been like basically like a small cold for me. It's just lasting a little longer than I think. I think I'm gonna stop taking any of the medication, and that will make it go through my body a little faster, because this being up in the bedroom for the last 6 days is taking a toll on the brother. And since I just tested positive, I'm at least 2 days in, 2 days more of this. I'm pretty sure that I'm going to be forced to to be quarantined, and I'm going to do the right thing, because the right thing is the right thing, right? That's why you do the right thing. I don't know. We'll work it out. But it's so good to be out and about, in terms of at least virtually out and about, and good to see you guys. Sorry for the way I'm dressed today, but hey, you get what you pay for, right? So the show is being broadcasted live on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and on YouTube. So anywhere you want to subscribe, anywhere you want to follow, anywhere you want to share, please do. I need your help in this regard. So if you are out there and you want to share and you want to subscribe or you want to follow the show, I would appreciate it. I need you to do that. This show is something that's a passion of mine since COVID-19. We've done well over 100 episodes now, because we've been in COVID for 2.5 years now. So every Friday we haven't missed an episode, and it's a great opportunity for those of you all that are out there to get on board and jump on and have a good time with us. Thank you. Coach James Bond is in the house. I see you, my brother. It's so good to know that you're out there supporting. It really means a big difference to me. You guys get a chance to speak with them or be seen or heard by Coach James Bonds. Definitely follow up. Coach, put your information in the chat so everybody can see you. You know, let us know how to get in contact with you. He's one of the best coaches, and I don't say that lightly when I say that, because as a coach myself, you know, I got a bit of an ego myself, but I will have to say, Coach Bonds is one of the best on the planet, period. And I have to say that he's just a great guy, and I would recommend him. If you need to looking for a coach, you know, and you can't get to me for some reason, well, you're probably crazy if you can't get to me, but if you can't get to me for some reason, definitely find my brother. And by the way, all my information is scrolling across the screen, so you shouldn't have a problem with reaching out and finding me as well. And if you'd like to know more about him, there you go. He's putting information in the chat. That's right there, guys. And so you can just find his website right there. It's the welldrivenlife.com. It is welldrivenlife.com. I can't see because I didn't put my glasses on. But anyway, we're going to have a great show today. Today, we're going to talk about something I think is so super important. You know, last week we talked about setting your goals and why goal setting is important. And we talked about the methodology and shared some tips and some opportunities for how you're going to do that this week. Not only are we going to talk about team goal setting and why that's important, I got a special guest for you. You know, I got a wonderful sister who I think is super powerful in the world of government contracting, and she is going to be a rising star in business and industry. And I'm looking forward to having her on the show today. Miss Janelle is a supercharger. I'm going to let her put her LinkedIn profile in the comment section in the chat, so you can check her out for yourself when you get a chance. But she is just all that in a bag of grits and a bowl of chips. You know, that's just that's what she is. She's just a super fantastic person, a heart of gold, and a character that is bar none one of the best I've ever seen when it comes to working with other people. And that's me. That's my thing. I work, I collaborate. You know, when I created the roundtable with my buddy Darren years ago, we came up with a 3 core concepts that we would hold on to no matter whatever happened with the roundtable. And those core concepts are still guiding us and directing us as we move forward in our business. And so everything we think and we want to do, everything we think we want to create, all goes back to these 3 core concepts. How well are we communicating? How well are we encouraging others? And how well are we collaborating? You know, and using those 3 ideas as our inspirational touchstones, if you like, you know, we measure everything against those things. So no matter what new initiatives we go into, no matter what things we think about, we're always asking the question: how does this help people move forward? How does it help them communicate more effectively? How does it help them encourage themselves and one another more effectively? How does it help them create collaborative teams and create team environments? Because we understand that none of us is an island. None of us, we're not here to serve ourselves. We're here to serve one another. And so our ability to do so requires that we are good at those 3 components. So as I was thinking about the team concept and what we're going to be doing with goal setting, a lot of great things came to mind, and I'm going to share a lot of that good stuff with you today. But before we do that, we're going to take a quick little branding break, and I'm going to share a quick little commercial break with you guys, if I can find it here. Here it is. And then I'll be right back. I hope you guys heard that. I hope you guys heard at least my microphone sound. Maybe you didn't, because I'm not sure how to work the buttons on my my cell phone I'm using instead of my laptop that I normally use when I am broadcasting the show. So we have to deal with a couple of technical difficulties. But again, if you have any questions, any comments, feel free. Let's get the show started. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Coffee, Tea, You and Me. This is a show, like I said earlier, I've been doing now for more than 20 years, and I am so happy to support entrepreneurs, business leaders, sales professionals, anybody who thinks they want to be in business or want to figure out more about how to do business better. This is the show for you. This is the show where we get to have the discussions and talk about the things that matter to entrepreneurs. And one of the things that matters to entrepreneurs more so than it ever has is this concept of wellness. You know, I want you to begin to know that it's not just a market-led concept. This is a concept that has been in us and with us for thousands and thousands of years as entrepreneurs and business professionals. We have never been able to accomplish things we want to accomplish with people who are not well. We need people to be well. We need to be well ourselves, and we need to be well. We need to make sure that the people that are on our teams, people that are on our subcontractor list, people that are working with us and anything we need to do are also well. That means wellness has to be in the conversation. We got to think about this, because when we don't think about this, when we leave it to, we're just going to assign that to the insurance providers, or we're going to assign that to somebody else to worry about because we're not worried about it, then that's not true leadership. And that's just in my opinion. You know, if you think that you could lead people and not care for them in all aspects of what caring means and what caring is, I think we got a problem. You're going to have a problem, you know, even thinking about the topic we're going to go into today. We're going to go into team leadership. You know, we're going to go into leadership and setting goals, not just by yourself as a team leader, but with your team. We're going to talk about why that is so essential and useful for not just your wellness as a leader, but their wellness as members of your team, as people that you want to collaborate with, people that you want to coordinate, people in your family, people that you need to even those that you're setting an example for. The more you can bring them into the goal setting mantra of helping to achieve the goals that you can work on collectively together, the better you're going to be with in terms of going through the process of generating the outcomes that you're looking for. And so we're going to be, I'm so excited to talk about that topic when we get there. But before we get there, I got to bring, Miss Janelle on stage. She is a supercharger. I have to tell you, don't get a chance to experience the kind of quality character and the persons that Janelle brings to the table. And without further ado, I'm going to let Janelle introduce herself to you guys. I'll bring her to the table and get her in here. Janelle.
Hello, Coach Marvin. Thank you so much. Happy New Year. Happy Friday, everybody. And thank you so much for this coffee, tea, you and me moment, Coach Powell. It's a pleasure to be here. And I'm super excited to share the discussion today on team leadership. So my name is Janelle Taylor, and I'm CEO of Chitoa Corporation and Jill Logistics, your relocation specialist. So awesome.
Now, you got to tell us a little bit more about your company. Why did you start in this company? What made you happy? Want to do?
What makes me happy? What makes me happy is I create frameworks. Create frameworks for people in order for them to perform well and create better products. So again, people performance and products is what Chitoa Corporation's main baby is. It's what makes us happy, because you have a conceptualized, leveraged, accountable, and clear change or something that you didn't have before. Either it's a new concept or a better process in the end. So yeah, our acquisition framework solutions and our project management support is what makes us happy, because it's better than what you had. And we're really happy to serve. We've been in business for 2.5 years now, and we are our startup, but caring about people, Marvin, is also why we're here. I love the fact that I met you the way we did. We met, collaborating with the Prince William Chamber of Commerce, and I'll let you tell a little bit about that. But again, people, we have the same circles and the same experiences, and we tend to end up in the same places because we have the same mission. So when you're aligned with the right people, you tend to run in those same circles. So again, it's just a pleasure to be here to talk about what means a lot to us: team building, people, and of course, just supporting each other, leaning on each other, asking questions, checking in for different resources. And yeah, I'm just really excited to be part of the discussion today. So thank you for the invite.
All right. I had to get myself back on the stream. I'm so glad I was there. I don't know how to do this kind of stuff. I'm just shooting from the hip, guys. So Janelle, thank you so very much. We'll bring you back on in just a little minute. We're going to talk about two things when it comes to goals and goal setting and what we should be thinking about. And I'm going to share with you the perspective of two serious academics and leaders in the wellness world that will share some perspective on some of the things that we've got to talk about. But the first concept I want you to think about is this one. If you like it, put a goal on it. Now, how does that relate to teams? Let's think about that. There are things that you as a leader believe you want to achieve. There are things that you as a leader believe that you want to experience and accomplish in all of the things that you do in your life and in your business, right? But those are the things that you like, right? Before you can actually start to begin to assess what goals might be for your team, is you have to figure out what your team likes. If you like it, put a goal on it. Now, the particular thought process that I generated when we talked about this is some research that I pulled up from Dr. Cheryl Travers. And she's been basically giving business psychology away for about 30 years. And she continues to share her brilliance in the local TED Talk. So if you want to see that TED Talk, you can go and check it out. Her name is, again, Cheryl Travers, and she has a great TED Talk. I might put the links in here if I can figure out how to do that after the show. But realize that, it's out there. So you can just Google it. Just TED Talk with Cheryl Travers. And what she talks about is business psychology. And what she learned when she studied Locke and Latham, she discovered that goals, especially for teams, should never be vague, right? They must be challenging, which makes a couple things important right there. Off the bat, when the goals are challenging that you come up with for your team comes up with it together collectively, right? Those goals are going to be difficult and they're probably going to be scary. There might even be a little exciting, but you need that to happen. If you don't feel like it's a challenge, you don't feel like it's a little bit difficult. It cannot be impossible or improbable, but it must be difficult. If it's not a stretch, right? People say if you don't have a team, your team is not you're not stretching your team to another level of being, or another level of acceptance, or another level of achievement, then it's not a good goal. So it must be challenging. That's rule number one. Rule number two is the goal must be set around the team's strongest desires. Now, I can't say enough about this. If the desire to achieve the goal is not strong, then it's going to be difficult to manage through the barriers that are ultimately going to come, especially the things that no one on the team could have seen. Right? If you've done a good goal setting strategy with your team, obviously everything that everybody could come up with, obstacles that people could come up with, or opportunities that people could come up with inside the direction that you need to, when it talks about the goal, then you might, have fleshed that out and thought it through. But invariably, there will be things that no one, either on the team or around the team, could have thought about. Right? Your strategy is going to be tested. And it's going to be tested for a myriad of reasons. Maybe you didn't have just enough resources to put on it. Maybe you had the right resources, but you didn't know how to deploy those resources effectively. Or maybe you have maintenance issues in systems and processes, right? And so you have to think about all the things that could possibly damage your process, but make sure that along the way, you don't lose the desire. So you have to check and double check and triple check along the way. Is this still something we want? Is this still something that moves us? Is this still something that we feel like it creates meaning, significance, and relevance? You're going to hear me use those words together a lot. If you ever watch me or talk to me, I'm always going to be talking about MRS, right? Meaning, relevance, and significance, right? If there's things that you're trying to do and they don't have meaning, relevance, and significance, and these are all three different things that you got to understand. If you don't have that, then guess what? It's not good enough. The desire is not strong enough. It's not going to be there when you need to dial that up and go, okay, why are we doing this in the first place? Is this meaningful to us? Is it relevant to us? Is it something that is going to help us be more significant in the space that we're in? If not, why are we doing it? Right? So goals it can't be just, I set a goal because it's a goal. It's got to be meaningful. It's got to be relevant. It's got to create significance, right? Because no one wants to be insignificant and no one wants to be irrelevant, right? No one wants to be something that is useless. We all want to add some value to what we call to whatever situations that we're in. And so if we can't see ourselves doing that, or we can't see our teams doing that, then we don't want to play. By the way, another thought that I want you to think about when it comes to that desire, we all want to desire, we want to be on a winning team. Or at least a team that's trying to win. No one wants to be with a bunch of people who just, I don't care about it. It doesn't matter to me. This is not something that's meaningful. This is not something that's powerful. This is not something that I care too much about. And the more you have that situation in your life, then the more you're going to have a problem, finding those opportunities for people who want to excel, for people who want to belong, and for people who want to create opportunities. I'm trying to figure out how to get my power connected to this phone because it seems like it's going on low power mode. And I'll figure it out before we end. But let me just blow through a couple of these rules here. Another rule that you want you to think about, after you got your desires all squared away, you got the challenges all squared away, does this goal help you build confidence, increase capacity or resilience, or does it create a state of hopefulness to improve your relationships and usher in overall comfort and happiness? Your well-being as a group, as a team, must be impacted by the goals that you set. If this does not cause you to improve your relationships, your overall happiness, increase your resilience, create a state of hopefulness, then is it meaningful? Is it relevant? Is it significant? If not, let's go back to the drawing board and come up with some goals that do these things. Because if they're not connected to your vision, if they're not helping you achieve your mission, if it doesn't help you get to where you're trying to go as a group or as a team, then again, you're doing things that may or may not be relevant in the space that you're in. And who wants to do that? Who wants to spend time, effort, and energy chasing after something that is really not useful when it's all said and done? The last thing I want you to think about when it comes to rules for team goal setting is, does it create evidence of dream possibility? Now, there's a difference between, a goal and a vision or a dream, right? A goal has to be SMART, means it has to have specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound strategies associated with it. And if you don't have those 5 elements, what we call SMART goal setting, in your goal scenario, then you're missing out on, everything that goals are really supposed to be. And they're not just supposed to be rules out there just for any reason. I mean, this has been well studied, well rehearsed, well practiced, and well designed strategy for many, 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 many years. And we've come up with different codicils and different ethics involved with SMART goal setting, but they're pretty much all boiled down to the same stuff. So let's not reinvent the wheel here. Understand that the dreams you're going to have, the situations you're going to have that you're going to put in front of yourself, literally are made better because of your ability to connect with those things. Rule number 1 must be challenging. Rule number 2 you have to find a strong desire amongst yourself and the team, right? It has to make you happy. It has to be relevant. It has to be meaningful. It has to do all these types of things. And lastly, there must be evidence of dream possibility. Now, there are many, many occasions in life where you're going to have to set goals with your family, with your business, with anything that you're going to try to do. And this is the time of year most of us are thinking about, if we haven't already, begin to look at our strategy for 2023. And inside that strategy should be a series of goals that we want to meet. Goals we want to meet for the month of January, February, March, and ongoing, right? All the way up until the end of 2023. At the end of 2023, we must be closer and closer and closer to achieving the things that we want to achieve in our life and our business, or we have wasted a lot of time. The more time you spend in planning and preparation, the less time you're going to spend in worrying and fretting over your execution strategy, because you'll have that already outlined, and all you have to do then is execute. You want execution to be flawless as possible. There are going to be flaws. Let's just start with that. But understand that as you are clear about where you're going and where your team is going, and you are methodical about the strategy you're going to use, and you keep coming back to that strategy, you keep assessing and reassessing, and you keep reevaluating, then this is what good leaders do all the time. And this is what's important about goal setting. Now, next week, we're going to get into how you create alignment between your goals and all the other things that you're trying to do, including your mission. How do you create alignment between your vision, your mission, the people that you have around you, the things that you're going to want to see possible? How do you create that alignment? And so that you'll know, and you'll have that feeling and that inspirational opportunity for you and your team. Because when you can show that alignment, when you can tell the stories that help people understand the connection between this thing and that thing, and people all of a sudden, you will see their eyes open. You'll see their spirit become energized. You'll see them give you more than they would ever give, because now they have understanding. And that's what's magical about goal setting and doing it correctly. When you do it correctly and you have a team and you're doing it, everybody now gets it. Everybody is on board. Nobody. And you'll find out who is with you, who's really on the team, and who's really kind of dialing it in. And you'll find that those people that are just dialing it in, you know how to get rid of them. You begin plans to marginalize them, keep them out of the situation, and you bring new people in that can be more open and more useful, and more direct in terms of moving you forward. Okay, that's our sort of lecture for today. We're going to get into some discussion now, and hopefully I'll be able to get my girl back in here. Here she is. Okay. All righty. Janelle, what you think about some of the things we shared today?
Wow, I mean,
Hello?
all good points. I love the, yeah, can you hear me, Marvin?
Yes,
Can
I
you
can
hear
hear
me? I think I'm on.
you. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Love the SMART goals, which are essential. I love the relevant and meaningful. I'd also just want to add encouraging your team members to share information. Most times you can have an amazing plan, but communications, if you don't emphasize the importance of each team member's contribution and just demonstrate how all of their jobs operate toward that entire mission to get it closer to its goal, it can be lost. Again, even with the best plan, if we're not speaking and just really leaning on your team's strength, everyone has a voice in the seat at the table. So that's essential. If you have a few aggressors and a few folks who are all equally brilliant, but they're not raising their hands, that's a loss in communication and it's less, contribution to the master plan of your goal. So just really create a safe space so that they are acknowledged and rewarded for their excellence, their contributions, and it just really builds trust for that type of hand raising and for that value add or the courage to add the value. So yeah, in essence, Marvin, you really described growing and establishing a safe space, developing those relationships so that, we're all winning. We're in it to win it. So if everyone has to win it at the end, we all have to contribute equally and effectively. So, yeah.
Bring up some fantastic points. That is amazing. And it's so true. So many people, when they're doing this, when they're onboarding people and when they're bringing people into these planning sessions or whatever, they don't acknowledge the strength that's in the room, that really have. And I think that's a leadership imperative. If you have a leader and you have a strong team and they don't even know each other and they don't even know what each other is capable of, really, you got to time to make sure that everybody's up to snuff with what everybody brings to the table. Because if you don't, then again, they won't know how to lean on each other. They won't know how to effectively even work together. So I think that's an excellent point. I bring that out a lot when I'm talking about the building a collaborative team. That's some of the things that we really have to do, because a lot of times people are horrible at tooting their own horns.
Yeah.
Including you're wonderful, but you're horrible at tooting your own horn. That's why you need somebody else to do it for you.
I think a leader's job is really just empowering others and giving them a platform. You're improving productivity because remember, those who don't speak up, they have a lack of belonging. They have an absence of recognition. They're absent to meetings, and you want them to know this is a high productive environment, but we can't survive without you. We need you. So if everyone feels, absolutely, and that teamwork makes the dream work, as she stated, and it's important. We all need a seat at the table. You have a lot of really assertive team members who have some amazing ideas, but what I've found is sitting, I quiet the thoughts of some and just say, listen, let's have a moment of 5 minutes of silence. I want to hear from someone who hasn't spoken today.
I have a lot
of people. When they speak, it's amazing. You never knew they were sitting there, but if you give them the table, they'll blow your mind. So
reminds me of a couple of conversations that I've had in the past with people about the difference between being an introvert and an extrovert and how that plays out in almost every workplace scenario, right? Science and studies show that introverts usually have tons of ideas that they tend to keep to themselves because, it's not ready for prime time yet. But when it is ready for prime time, you want to listen to those introverts, right? But sometimes you have your extroverts who are maybe blurters, they may want, they got so many ideas going around, they got so many blah, 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 and they always want to take center stage, even if their idea is kind of like, it's not even that great of an idea. And an extrovert will give them that space. They're like, you know what, that's what you want. You go ahead. You just do your thing. Not that for me, but I'm an introvert. So I know it's very, very difficult to even be willing to share my ideas until I think that they're pitch perfect, right? And I think that's a problem because the idea may not be pitch perfect until I get the response of other members of the team. So I have to be sort of forced sometimes by good leaders who will say, okay, Marvin, I need you to tell me what you think about blah, 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 blah. Because when I have to articulate it, even though it's not ready, of course, I'll make the other comments. Well, it's not ready for prime time yet, but I think I'm going to share with this, da, 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 da. And then people will say, oh, you know what? We can add to it. We have this, isn't it? And then all of a sudden, you know, other people feel comfortable because generally on the team, people know I'm in it. And they know that when I say something, it's serious business. And then when they key in on it and grow, then we all kind of grow together because we're willing again to be vulnerable to the things that we are most effective in, the things that we're maybe even least effective in, but we're willing to be vulnerable to things. And I think that's what matters. You know, we talked about before the show how important humility is and how important it is to integrity. And I think that's a key reason why I think that you are just an amazing person, just because you have those values that are in your mind as you go through the things that you do. You're not just doing things willy-nilly. You're doing things in a way that brings honor to yourself and to others. And I think that's a super important trait, super important characteristic to have, because there's so many people who are willing to walk it, but not talk it. You know, they'll name it, but they won't really claim it. You know, they understand what they should do, but they can't bring what they need to bring to the table to actually do it. You know, in terms of just being a good person and doing things the right way, which is super, super important, I think, to
being a good person is important.
Yeah. And systems, right? You have a project management background. And what that automatically tells me is that you understand how important it is to set up the systems that's going to be most likely to bring your project to success, right? That's super important. And there's stakeholders involved.
Absolutely. Gotta have the framework.
Right? There's always stakeholders involved. Tell me from your perspective, professional opinion, what happens when you don't bring your stakeholders into the project?
First and foremost, if you don't bring stakeholders into the project, you don't have a project. You know, it's just you have an incomplete family. You can't march without the whole band. You have just the trumpets, just the horns. You need the drums. You need the whole family to march forward. In order to get that project charter, you need your stakeholders. So yeah, signatures and what for me, it's communication, and people come first. You know, you're talking about conceptualizing something, or you check in bases. You know, this is how we get out of the no zone. If everyone's not saying yes, then there's no communication. We're not fostering communication and productivity. It's not going to move. Period. Without stakeholders, the project doesn't move anywhere. So, but I like the point that you made. You know, about.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Marvin. You broke up.
I'm sorry. I was talking when you were talking.
So sorry. There's just a gap. it's probably my internet. But it just goes to building trust from the very start. And when you talked about integrity, this is where we are. This is that situational awareness. Again, remember those aggressors, and then you have the quiet folk. Situational awareness is knowing your players, knowing what they have to offer. You know, what do you bring into the table? As long as we know, even if it's, you know, a high or low, it all matters, and it's going into the same pot, because that's the only way we're going to get there. So again, situational awareness is knowing who your stakeholders are, knowing who those contributors are, introverts and extroverts alike. But you can't, you can't move an entire project, whether it's high or low dollar value. You have to have all team members on board. So
I want to remind everybody, thank you so much for that, Janelle. I want to remind everybody, just in case you were wondering, if you need to get in contact with Coach Bonds, his information is on the screen right about now. And behind our screen that we're talking about for Janelle and I, you're going to see our virtual conference is coming up. We've got a fabulous virtual conference coming up on the 3rd and the 4th of February. And the speakers that I have coming to the table, guys, are absolutely phenomenal people. I've been very, very careful that I bring the right people to the party. And we're going to have, 2 days of fun. Unfortunately, the first day, the Friday night session is only going to be for the VIP. So it's only going to be for the speakers and the sponsors. And we're going to get together virtually, and we're going to have a hoo-ha good time as we check all the technical variances and all that kind of good stuff we do. But we also have a good time introducing each other and talking about each other and talking to each other. And so we have a great time. And it's going to be a great thing on Friday night. So if you get a chance, you think you might want to be a sponsor, definitely check us out. Other thing you might want to think about is obviously getting a ticket. And I'll put a ticket to a link to get the latest discounted ticket in the chat. If after the show, if I can get around to it, I got to figure out how to do that, because I can't be on the show and do it at the same time because my thumbs don't work that way anymore. So we'll work all that out for you guys. But tickets are still on sale. There's a great opportunity for anybody who wants to get involved. It's very, very, I try to make sure everything is priced to move. So I don't create things that are going to be difficult for people to get to, right? I want to make sure as many business leaders and entrepreneurs have the opportunity who want the opportunity. And I think the least expensive ticket, I think, is $49 or something like that. But that's going to go up pretty soon. So you got to get your ticket while you can. Other than that, I want to share that, Janelle, do put your information, your contact information and everything in the chat, or anything you want people to know about you in the chat so that I can share it on screen as well. Because I don't want people to be left out. This is talent right here we got, guys.
Thank you. Pleasure.
She is amazingly.
I'm here to serve and support you guys. Yeah, absolutely. Please feel free to reach out. And if I can do anything to help you, I'm in the Northern Virginia area, please reach out. I'd love to connect and let me know how we can help your mission.
And again, guys, as I go through the chat here, if you guys have any questions about what we talked about with goal setting, team management, anything you want to share, anything you have to think about, please definitely put that in the chat so we could, keep this party going. My girl Annette is here. That's good to see you, Annette. Thank you so very much for dialing in. It's always good to have you, coming to us live from the big city, from New York City. That's always a great thing. And I think Janelle put your information in the private chat, and I can't copy and paste that into the public chat. And so maybe you don't know how to do that. But
for some reason, I probably have to log in first to do that into the platform, but I'll do it. I'll send it
after the show.
So I'll send it after the show. No problem.
By the way, this is broadcasting live on Facebook, on YouTube, and simultaneously. And so for those of you who are seeing this, even if you're seeing a recording, still ask your questions, still put your information in the comment section. The more you do that, the more that we'll have an opportunity to respond to you. You'll be surprised how many people will answer your question. Even if I can't get to it right away, somebody else might pick it up from the chat or whatever that is. So don't let your questions about team problems or processes that you may have and goal setting you may have for your team, don't let them go unanswered, because your opportunity exists, and all you got to do is participate and engage. That's what this is all about, ladies and gentlemen. This is about creating as much engagement as we possibly can with as many as we possibly can, so nobody gets left out. Nobody feels like they didn't have what they need. They didn't have the conversations, the people, the expertise. That's what we create all the time here at Power Training and Development. Okay. Having said that, I don't see any other questions. I see my girl Nene is out there. They're giving us a shout out. Oh, that's wonderful. And she's super powered. I love to see Nene. I see her. Nene comes to our Tuesday meetings for the roundtable every Tuesday afternoon. And again, I'll put that information in the chat for those of you who the roundtable is open conversation that anybody can jump in and come on board and play with. Again, we focus on communication, encouragement, and collaboration. And so anybody's out there who needs a little bit more of that in their life, you found the roundtable, and it's a great opportunity for you. Okay, I can breathe.
I had a quick question for you, Paul. My quick question is, when we encourage listening and brainstorming, usually we want to come to a consensus in these team meetings and buildings, but how many of us have really had a breakthrough on new projects and new team startups with creating debate? You'd be surprised. When you have a roundtable, you create a situational scenario where we don't all come out singing Kumbaya. We're not harmonious at first. However, we need to debate and kind of fight it out in order to come to the end of the line. So I found that, when we have space or new projects, especially complex, high value, and right now we're doing a lot of political projects. So that fighting it out like family, you know, it really helps because you know, it's not always a pretty picture, but at least we're exiting out. We're getting all the kinks out. But sometimes, you know, disagreements, which, you know, can lead to non-mediocre decisions, but when it's a lot of $5 million,
So you broke up a little bit.
So much, yeah. I huge difference.
Are you still out there?
I think I'm frozen. I'm still here if you can hear me. So.
You broke up a little bit there. What that last sentence that you just said. So if you could repeat that, that'd be great.
No, so I guess my point was sometimes we make these, you know, kumbaya or mediocre decisions. We need to encourage and create that space to let our roundtables know it's okay to disagree. We need to fight it out to come to consensus, because when you're dealing with high value, high dollar decision making, it's okay to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. You know, we have to talk about those. So, and then I was just talking about Annette and NNA, who agrees they love the roundtables. So I agree that it's an awesome space, ladies. I really do. We need those.
One of the things you mentioned earlier, and I see that we're keying on this again in a little way, is creating a safe space. A safe space for whatever kinds of communication we need to have can happen. And I think that's super, super important, because when we shortcut that process, then when somebody feels, you know, again, fear, doubt, blame, shame, and they don't come to the table with what they can come to the table with. But when everybody feels empowered and that their gifts and their talents are going to be respected and appreciated, then everybody can come to the table with what I believe their creator created in them to bring to the table. Right? But it's very, very difficult because 9 times out of 10 we have an agenda, right? We have to get something done that somebody wants to get done. And again, if the team doesn't want to get that thing done, it doesn't really matter. And that's the point.
You know, it doesn't work. So
what does the team want? Not what the goal of the greater organization or the gods on high want. You know, what does the team want to see, and what does the team want to do collaboratively together? Because when you set goals that don't matter to the people on the team, then it's very difficult for them to agree on anything about how it's going to happen, because they're going to be upset.
Absolutely.
It's going to be something that they feel it's putting upon them versus something that they engage with and give themselves to. So that's why I said earlier, right up front, it's important to work out that what do we want? What is the desire for us? Because that's the thing that should gel us in the conversations we have, no matter what we have, no matter how we disagree about how to get there. You know, we all have to agree that this is what we want. And it would be useful, and I'm glad you mentioned it, it would be useful to even think about the levels of our desire for this thing. Because whatever we're trying to do as a team is going to require our commitment. And our level of commitment might be different based on whatever else is going on in our lives. You know, if I got to go pick my kid up, then I got my kid up at 5 o'clock. And guess what? Whatever we were doing, it's going to take second seat. And somebody might be offended about that. Okay.
Listen, we have priorities. So yeah. And so here's a wrench. Here's a wrench to the scenario. Usually in organizations, sometimes it's not going to be a process or project or change that everyone wants. That's a fact. You know, when you talk about change management here, you're talking about major changes in organization, staffing, performance, new systems, new certification that you have to endure. So, you know, that safe space is not always, when you create a space and you're trying to improve productivity, Coach Powell, you're talking about more drop. I mean, I'm talking 100 degrees. So we've been in organizations where we've got this major announcement. This is the new heavy. I'm not feeling it. You know what I mean? So how are we going to, you know, people have been there for 20 years. You have your newbies coming in. So it has to be something that everyone, you know, may not enjoy. But how do we get on board with that? How do we get on board with something that's not meaningful to us? I'm retiring in 2 years. If an employee, what does it matter to me? How do you get those folks on board? So
I think that's the question whenever those questions come up, I always ask those questions to the team. Because it really we have to think about it. There's somebody here who is not going to be with us to the end of this goal. So how do we make this relevant for them? And they get to be the answer to that question. It's like, how do we make this more meaningful to you? How do we make it relevant to you? If it's not going to be meaningful, relevant to you at all, should you be on the team?
There you go. So that's that, not product placement, but that's that resource value there, because it's not going to affect you, even though it still may matter. Picking your team, that enhanced engagement, that's the key. We had a huge project last year where, you're talking about affecting thousands of people. And if it affects 500, should you have that huge panel of people? It's just, you have to really align your strategic efforts according to who it's going to be affecting. So, and that's a lot of folks. And I don't hear that being talked about enough, because change management is something that we deal with every day. So
it's not talked about enough because it's too different. And we want to shrift things because we got to get to this deadline. We got to get to this date. We got to get to this, but whatever the resource we have, we got to fully exploit it right now. And a lot of times we forget that, again, back to those feelings and emotions. If we don't get everybody on board the right way, as soon as possible, and keep coming back to that, we're going to lose them. We're going to lose that talent. We're going to lose that resource. We're going to lose their abilities. And they're just going to be sitting there doing very little to nothing. That's a waste. That somebody else can be taking up that space and using that opportunity. So,
and that misalignment causes, online knowledge really have to products to help.
My girl Nene said,
I'm going to send you a little treat, but yeah.
My girl Nene said, I love this. She says there has to be both choice and balance. And again, these are things that we have to discuss. What choices do you want in this goal setting session? What balance looks like a balance for you? What are you balancing in that will help create more engagement or less engagement for you? Let's talk about those things instead of leaving all the assumptions that we normally leave on the table. We got a goal. We're going to go after it. No, we need more than that. We need real conversation and real discussion in order for us to come together and agree. And I think that, if we have not a majority, everybody on board, to the level that they can compete, that they can be on board and happy with, then we're going to be good. But if we have one person who's a valuable resource to the team and they're not dialed in, and we don't know the level of commitment that they're dialed into, or we can't understand that or create a situation where that could be at a high level that others are going to respect, then it doesn't make sense to bring them on the journey with us, because they're going to be limping along and everybody's going to have to go compensate around them, and they're not even going to want to be on the team, really.
Yeah, you're going to have a full house, and then the next thing if it's no value to me or to someone else on the team, you have your entry level, you have your senior, so we got to work together.
Right.
But we do have meaningful issues. For instance, there's a lot of things that don't affect us directly, but we want to help. We want to be a part of that change for the better. So you may have your senior executives, and then maybe even an intern. It doesn't matter what level you serve. So in the beginning, just really getting people on board who want to be a part of the process, whether it's a project, whether it's organizational change. Well, it starts with people. It's always about people. So,
Janelle, you win. You get to come back anytime you want.
Listen, we matter. So I'm just really passionate about. I love to see people happening in their environments, Marvin, and when you go in to do a project, you already know that you're going to drop a bomb on them based on what the company wants,
Yep.
And once you have a set strategy, it's like this at the very first meeting. You have the pencil bouncers, you have the people that don't want to be there, but the third or fourth time, they're intrigued because they matter. They have a platform, they have a voice. So when you're a part of the process, let's be honest, it's more interesting, it's meaningful to you, and you make a difference, you know? So.
And the quicker you can get to that thought process, the better. The slower you people, and I know there are people who are doubters, right? So they may drag their feet, you know, for quite a while before they fully commit and jump on board. But you know, the question I like to ask those people who I'll catch them by themselves sometimes, and I'll ask them, listen, I know this is not all that in a bag of chips for you. I get it. All right. But I'm gonna need you to help others because you have gifts and talents that are super special. And I need you to bring those gifts to the table. I don't need you to be at every meeting. I don't need you to be in every situation, but I do need your best ideas. Can you commit to give me your best ideas? And what do I have to do to earn that commitment from you? And I think that when leaders are willing to have that conversation personally to individuals, you're going to get a lot more input and a lot more engagement from them than when people say, okay, well, you know, that's just old Fred, you know, he's over there, he's doing what Fred does. You know, if we allow people to marginalize themselves, then we make it easier for us to marginalize them.
Absolutely.
And
process.
That can never be good. I'm a no man left behind kind of guy.
Love it. No, I love it. It's true. It's relevant. We need that. We need we need more of that mentality in the workplace, especially at the top and middle tiers.
That's or not a person, not a person who works at the company, because companies generally don't think this way, and they should.
Yes.
All right. Anyway,
that's why they need coaches and consultants to come in and spread the gospel. So care about your people.
So we're at minute 53 now, so we're gonna have to start to wrap this thing up. Again, if anybody has any more questions, feel free to put them in the chat. We will come through. We will answer the questions. Thank you so much for Janelle. Thanks for coming by. Don't go anywhere, Janelle. I want to keep talking to you just a second. I'll put you backstage. But other than that, stay tight, right? Okay, guys. That is Coffee, Tea, You and Me. This is how we do what we do. This is how we make the bacon, the sausage, and everything else every single Friday. I'm so glad to be here with you. Even I'm sharing with you on my tilted screen here because I got to plug in my phone in order to keep the juice flowing. But it's been really wonderful. I love each and every one of you. Thank you so much for sharing your time and your talent with us. Hopefully, something good came out of this, and something good will come to you for your business. I'm wishing you to have the most successful year that you have ever had. I know you can do it. It's just about you accepting your gift and using your gift for the greater good. God bless you. God bless you one and all. It was wonderful to be with you. Talk to you soon.